Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing what's been kind of out there, been discussed a lot here recently, the so-called Thailand Pass. And just for some background, let's go to the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Thailand Pass Set to Replace COE, COE being Certificate of Entry. Quoting directly, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Digital Government Development Agency are developing a new system to replace the Certificate of Entry, COE, for Thais and foreigners who wish to enter the country through an airport. Let's be clear on that, through an airport. I'll get back to that in a minute. Quoting further, Tani Sangrat, spokesman for the Foreign Affairs Ministry, said on Thursday a new web-based application called the Thailand Pass system, where people can gather information and upload documents, is being developed for the kingdom's November 1 reopening. Get back to that in a minute, but kind of sounds familiar. Quoting further, Mr. Tani said the Thailand Pass will replace the COE system and facilitate the filing of an immigration form known as the TM6. Get to that in a minute. Quoting further, and a health declaration form known as T8. Well, this all sounds pretty familiar because it sounds like the Certificate of Entry. Okay, the Thailand Pass system, people can gather information and upload documents. Well, basically been the COE interface to this point. And then also facilitate filing of an immigration form known as a TM6. Well, that's given out at entry. That's issued by immigration when you arrive. So you could say that anything that leads up to that moment facilitates the issuance of a TM6. And then you've got the T8, which we've discussed. It's been a while now. But yeah, it is a health declaration form. We discussed it some time ago. All been part and parcel with the entry procedures post-emergency decree promulgation back in March of 2020. I'm not laughing because I'm trying to be funny or anything. It's just throughout the last 18 months, it seems like there's been a lot of just sort of renaming things or coming up with new slogans to sort of repackage. Yeah, now let's be clear. It does appear there are going to be some changes to this. Certain things are going to be kind of streamlined. But it does appear to be something of a repackaging of an already existing process. Now, hopefully, I'm hoping for the best. Hopefully this results in more streamlined processing. People can get into Thailand faster. But long story short, the notion that the COE, the Certificate of Entry, is just entirely gone, I think is not a good way to view things, especially for managing one's own expectations when trying to go through the process of getting into Thailand. But yeah, it does appear they've made some changes. And as we've noted, credit where credit is due, things like the Fit to Fly documentation were redacted throughout this process. Fit to Fly documentation was a real sticking point on getting folks into Thailand going back a few months ago. And it really was kind of a redundant document, and it was scrapped and it was no longer required. So look, I mean, it's an evolving process. I think people are trying their best to sort of balance all the interests at play here. Long story short, Thailand Pass is what they're sort of the new word, the new phrase for what I would call the Certificate of Entry. Yes, it is a little bit different. Is it fundamentally different? Well, define fundamentally different insofar as prior to March 2020, the Certificate of Entry didn't exist at all, and Thailand Pass didn't exist at all. It's hard for me to say that, well, it's a fundamentally different thing. That said, one man's opinion. Looks like this is what we're going to be dealing with here moving forward into the foreseeable future.